For nearly a decade, Family Ties was one of the most beloved sitcoms on television, bringing laughter and heartfelt moments to audiences everywhere. The show launched the career of Michael J. Fox and featured an incredible cast of talented actors, from series regulars to unforgettable guest stars. However, while their performances live on, many of these talented individuals have since passed away, some after long battles with illness, others due to sudden and tragic circumstances. In this list, we pay tribute to 41 Family Ties actors who are no longer with us, celebrating their contributions to the show and remembering the legacies they left behind. John Hancock played Gus Thompson in Family Ties in 1983 at the age of 42, portraying a warm and fatherly figure who provided guidance and stability to those around him. Despite his ability to bring wisdom and kindness to his roles, Hancock's real life was plagued with insecurity and professional struggles. He built a steady career with appearances in Hill Street Blues, Roots, The Next Generations, and The Twilight Zone, but he never achieved true stardom. His marriage was fraught with tension, as his devotion to his craft left little room for personal connection, and his wife eventually left him. Childless and battling deep loneliness, he turned to alcohol and food for comfort, leading to severe health complications. His weight gain and stress-induced ailments worsened, and in the early 1990s, his career had nearly stalled. Tragically, his life ended abruptly when he suffered a fatal heart attack alone in his Los Angeles apartment on October 12, 1992, at the age of 51. Bunny Summers played Barbara in Family Ties in 1983 at the age of 59, portraying a kind and maternal figure. Though she appeared in numerous television shows, including ER, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and The Golden Girls, she never received the recognition she longed for. A dedicated actress, she sacrificed personal happiness for her craft, remaining single for most of her life. Her brief marriage in her youth ended in heartbreak, and she never remarried or had children, leaving her to navigate old age alone. Financial instability plagued her later years, as acting roles became increasingly scarce. She struggled to make ends meet, taking on minor television roles well into her 80s, though the industry slowly forgot her. As her health declined, she became increasingly reclusive, spending her final days in solitude. She passed away on September 9, 2010, at the age of 86, a quiet end for a woman who had spent her life bringing warmth to the screen but found little of it in return. Ben Piazza portrayed Mr. Wirtz in Family Ties in 1984 at the age of 51, embodying a stern and authoritative presence. A respected character actor, he had an extensive career, appearing in The Way We Were, Mask, and The Bad News Bears, yet despite his talent, he never secured leading roles. As an openly gay man in an era when Hollywood was far from accepting, he spent much of his life hiding his relationships and enduring rejection both professionally and personally. Though he found solace in a long-term partnership, the constant fear of exposure cast a shadow over his happiness. In the late 1980s, his world crumbled when he was diagnosed with AIDS-related cancer. Weakened by the illness, he withdrew from public life, experiencing increasing isolation as friends and colleagues distanced themselves. His final months were spent battling immense physical pain and emotional despair. He died on September 7, 1991, at the age of 58, his passing largely overlooked by an industry that had never fully embraced him. Philip Baker Hall played Dr. Harrison in Family Ties in 1988 at the age of 57, portraying a wise and level-headed doctor who offered guidance. A prolific character actor, he built a long resume with roles in Magnolia, Boogie Nights, Hard 8, and Seinfeld, yet fame always remained just out of reach. His dedication to his craft came at a cost. His marriages suffered due to his relentless pursuit of acting, and his relationship with his children was strained. As he aged, regret weighed heavily on him, as he realized he had sacrificed personal connections for a career that never quite gave him the success he craved. In his later years, his health deteriorated due to emphysema, robbing him of his ability to work. Unable to perform and increasingly frail, he lived his final years in declining health, reflecting on what could have been. He died on June 12, 2022, at the age of 90, his passing marking the end of a career that, despite its longevity, left him yearning for more. Priscilla Morrill portrayed Kate in Family Ties in 1982, beginning the role at 55. Kate was a warm and supportive figure, embodying the wisdom and strength of an older generation. Morrill had a long career in television, often playing maternal or authoritative roles in shows like The Mary Tyler Moore Show, Newhart, and Remington Steele, but she never achieved leading lady status. Despite her success, her personal life was marked by silent disappointments. She was married to actor Paul Breyer, but their relationship became strained over time, exacerbated by the sorrow of never having children. As she aged, acting opportunities became scarce, and she withdrew from public life, struggling with loneliness. In her final years, her health declined due to kidney problems, and she spent her last days away from the industry she had dedicated her life to. On November 9, 1994, she passed away at 67 from complications of a kidney infection, her death going largely unnoticed in Hollywood. Walter Olkewicz played Bill Channing in Family Ties in 1984 at the age of 36, bringing a jovial and comedic presence to the role. He later gained recognition for his work in Twin Peaks, Grace Under Fire, and Seinfeld, but his career was plagued by health struggles. Chronic pain and obesity made it difficult for him to maintain steady work, and multiple surgeries left him in prolonged suffering. His personal life was equally troubled. His marriage collapsed under the weight of his declining health and financial struggles, leaving him to battle his hardships alone. As his mobility worsened, he was forced into seclusion, spending his final years unable to work, forgotten by an industry that had once embraced him. His body weakened from years of suffering, and he passed away on April 6, 2021, at the age of 72 due to complications from his numerous medical procedures. His once lively spirit, so full of humor, was ultimately extinguished by years of pain and loneliness. Richard Venture played Agent Burt Carlisle in Family Ties in 1983, taking on the role at 60. His character was serious and authoritative, a fitting match for his well-established persona as a no-nonsense figure in film and television. Venture's career was steady, with roles in Scent of a Woman, Nixon, and Being There, but he never became a household name. Behind the scenes, his personal life was tumultuous. He married 4 times, each relationship ending in painful divorce. His children, caught in the chaos, grew distant from him, leaving him with a profound sense of regret in his later years. As he aged, dementia began to take hold, robbing him of his sharp mind and the memories of the career he had spent a lifetime building. Once a commanding presence on screen, he became fragile and confused, spending his final years in near isolation. On December 19, 2017, at 94, he passed away from natural causes, his long career fading into obscurity with his passing. Lois De Banzie played Mrs. Rose Handelman in Family Ties in 1984, beginning the role at 54. She was known for her refined and elegant demeanor, often portraying strong-willed, aristocratic women. Her career included roles in Annie, Sudden Impact, and Tootsie, but despite her talent, she never managed to break into stardom. Her personal life was marked by solitude. She never married or had children, dedicating herself entirely to acting. As Hollywood's interest in older women waned, so did her opportunities, and she faded into obscurity. In her later years, she lived alone, disconnected from the industry that had once embraced her. Her passing received little attention, a quiet end for a woman who had once graced the screen with such presence. On April 3, 2021, at 90, she passed away from natural causes, her legacy left to the few who still remembered her work. Philip Sterling portrayed Mr. Winkler in Family Ties in 1982, starting the role at 60. His character was wise and patient, much like the dependable professionals he often played throughout his career. Sterling had a steady but unremarkable career, with roles in Sisters, Chicago Hope, and My Favorite Martian, though he remained largely in the background. His personal life, however, was far from stable. A bitter divorce left him estranged from his family, and he found himself increasingly alone as he aged. His health began to decline in the 1990s when he was diagnosed with myelofibrosis, a rare and painful blood disorder. As his illness progressed, he withdrew from public life, suffering in silence as his once strong body weakened. The industry moved on without him, and by the time of his passing, he was all but forgotten. On November 30, 1998, at 76, he succumbed to his illness, leaving behind a career filled with respectable roles but little recognition. Sam Whipple played Bill in Family Ties in 1984 at age 24, bringing youthful energy to the show. He had early success, appearing in The Rock, 7 Days, and Airheads, but his career never reached the heights he had dreamed of. While his on-screen persona was cheerful and full of life, his real life was marked by struggle. He never married, and as his friends built families of their own, he often felt isolated, adrift in an industry that had little room for him. In 1999, just as he was trying to revive his career, he was diagnosed with an aggressive form of cancer. The disease spread quickly, robbing him of his strength and forcing him to step away from acting. The once vibrant performer became frail, his final days spent in a losing battle against an illness that showed no mercy. On June 3, 2002, at just 41, he passed away, a life and career tragically cut short, his potential never fully realized. Wendel Meldrum played Kathy Brady in Family Ties in 1987 at the age of 33, portraying a quirky and free-spirited woman who added a unique charm to the series. Her character's offbeat humor and unconventional wisdom made her stand out in the otherwise grounded world of the Keatons. Meldrum had a long career in television, with roles in Seinfeld and The Wonder Years, but she never reached leading star status. Behind the scenes, she struggled with financial instability, often taking small roles to make ends meet. Her personal life was marked by heartbreak. Her marriage ended in divorce, leaving her raising her son, Luke, largely on her own. While she loved him deeply, the pressures of an unpredictable career strained their relationship. In later years, she withdrew from acting, growing reclusive and struggling with declining health. After a brief but severe illness, she passed away on January 27, 2021, at the age of 66. John Hostetter played the stage manager in Family Ties in 1984 at age 38, portraying a calm and efficient behind-the-scenes figure who ensured everything ran smoothly. Despite being a hard-working character actor, he was never able to break into the upper echelon of Hollywood, often cast in minor roles in Murphy Brown and Beverly Hills Cop 2 but never receiving the recognition he craved. His career frustrations weighed heavily on him, leading to bouts of depression as he watched younger actors surpass him. He married Dell Appleby, and while they shared moments of happiness, they never had children, a decision he later regretted, realizing too late that he had sacrificed too much for an industry that would never truly embrace him. As the roles dried up, financial struggles mounted, and he faced his later years in relative obscurity. His final battle with cancer was long and painful, and he finally passed away on September 2, 2016, at age 69. Rosalind Cash played Maya Thompson in Family Ties in 1989 at the age of 51, bringing a sense of strength and wisdom to the role. An immensely talented actress, she had gained fame with The Omega Man but was often overlooked in Hollywood due to racial barriers. Despite her talent, meaningful roles became harder to find as she aged, leading to growing disillusionment with the industry. She never married, fearing that love would come at the cost of her independence, and though she longed for children, she remained childless. As opportunities dwindled, she withdrew from public life, spending her final years in relative isolation. Cancer became her final battle, and she fought it largely alone, with few industry peers reaching out in her final months. She passed away on October 31, 1995, at the age of 56, her legacy overshadowed by an industry that never fully recognized her immense potential. Bibi Besch played Dr. Hewitt in Family Ties in 1988 at the age of 46, embodying a compassionate and wise character who provided guidance to the show's leads. A versatile actress, she gained recognition for her role as Carol Marcus in Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan, yet despite her talent, she often found herself cast in supporting roles. She never married, pouring herself into her work while raising her only daughter, actress Samantha Mathis, alone. Though deeply devoted to her child, she struggled with guilt over her long hours and frequent absences, feeling torn between career and motherhood. In the early 1990s, her health began to decline as she battled breast cancer, a diagnosis she initially kept private. As the disease progressed, she faced her final days with quiet dignity but without the partner she had often longed for. She passed away on September 7, 1996, at the age of 54, leaving her daughter to navigate the harsh world of Hollywood without her guiding presence. Jack Blessing played Leonard in Family Ties in 1985 at the age of 34, bringing an energetic and humorous presence to the show. Though he found steady work in series like Moonlighting and George Lopez, he never reached the level of fame he had dreamed of, leading to bouts of disappointment. His marriage to Laura was loving but often tested by his career struggles, and while they had two sons, Ian and Christopher, he sometimes found it difficult to balance work with family life. As he aged, health issues emerged, and a diagnosis of pancreatic cancer marked the beginning of his most difficult battle. The illness progressed rapidly, leaving him physically weak and emotionally drained. Despite his family's support, the knowledge that his time was limited weighed heavily on him. He passed away on November 14, 2017, at the age of 66, leaving behind a family who loved him dearly and a career filled with solid performances that never quite brought him the recognition he had hoped for. Earl Boen played Ed Barker in Family Ties in 1983 at the age of 42, portraying a strict and authoritative figure who often clashed with the main characters. Best known for his role as Dr. Silberman in the Terminator films, Boen built a career playing no-nonsense authority figures, though he longed to break free from typecasting. Despite a solid body of work, he faced periods of frustration when more complex roles remained out of reach. His marriage to actress Carol Keen was his greatest source of stability, but their inability to have children was a quiet sorrow that lingered in their lives. In his later years, lung cancer took hold, robbing him of the deep, commanding voice that had defined his career. As the disease progressed, he withdrew from public life, spending his final days in quiet reflection. He passed away on January 5, 2023, at the age of 81, leaving behind a career filled with memorable performances and an unfulfilled desire for greater creative freedom. Nancy Parsons played the nurse in Family Ties in 1984, taking on the role at 42. She was best known for her strict, authoritative roles, particularly in Porky's, but despite her commanding on-screen presence, her real life was filled with struggles. She was married for a short time, but the relationship ended in divorce, leaving her to raise two daughters on her own. She battled with depression, exacerbated by Hollywood's cruel treatment of actresses who didn't fit the industry's beauty standards. Typecast in domineering roles, she longed to break free and take on more serious dramatic work, but those opportunities never came. Her weight issues led to serious health problems, including diabetes and congestive heart failure, forcing her to withdraw from the public eye. Isolated and financially strained, she spent her final years in worsening health, largely forgotten by the industry. She died on January 5, 2001, at the age of 58, succumbing to the very illnesses that had plagued her for decades. Ron Karabatsos played Bud Carlson in Family Ties in 1985 at age 52, a warm and friendly presence who brought a jovial energy to the show. Before his acting career, he was a police officer, but his love for performance led him to Hollywood, where he became a familiar face in tough guy roles, appearing in Hill Street Blues and Flashdance. Despite steady work, he never found true success, often typecast and overlooked for leading roles. His personal life was marred by difficulties, as his long hours on set and struggles with the pressures of the industry strained his marriage. His wife, unable to cope with his absence and increasing mood swings, eventually left him, taking their children with her. Though he continued working, his health began to fail, and he withdrew from public life, spending his final years in relative solitude, battling illness and financial troubles. He passed away on April 17, 2012, at age 78, a man who had spent his life trying to balance two opposing worlds, only to be left alone in the end. David Spielberg portrayed Arthur Press in Family Ties in 1982 at 43. Arthur was a serious, disciplined character who provided a contrast to the show's more lighthearted moments. Spielberg had a steady acting career, appearing in numerous television shows, but never reached leading man status. His personal life was fraught with disappointment. His first marriage ended after just a few years, and his second wife left him after growing tired of his long absences on set. He had a daughter, but their relationship was strained, as she resented his focus on his career over family life. Professionally, as he aged, the roles became fewer, and financial insecurity forced him to take minor parts in low-budget projects. In his later years, he was diagnosed with cancer, a battle that drained him both physically and emotionally. He retreated from the public eye, rarely seen in Hollywood circles. By the time he passed away on June 1, 2016, at the age of 77, he was a forgotten figure in the industry, dying alone after years of illness. John Randolph played Jake Keaton in Family Ties in 1982 at age 67, bringing wisdom and experience to his role. A veteran actor, he had once been on the path to stardom, but his career was cruelly derailed in the 1950s when he was blacklisted during the McCarthy era for alleged communist ties. For years, he struggled in exile, unable to work in major productions, watching as his peers moved forward while he remained stagnant. Though he eventually reclaimed his place in Hollywood with roles in Serpico and National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, the scars of his past never fully healed. He remained married to actress Sarah Cunningham, their shared hardships binding them together, but the weight of lost years always lingered. In his final years, dementia slowly stole his memories, leaving him confused and disconnected from the world he had fought so hard to be part of. He passed away on February 24, 2004, at age 88. Jack Riley played Earl Quigley in Family Ties in 1982, taking on the role at 47. Earl was a quirky, slightly bumbling character, always well-meaning but often misguided, adding a touch of awkward humor to the show. Riley had a successful career in comedy, best known as the neurotic Elliot Carlin on The Bob Newhart Show, but behind the scenes, his life was filled with struggle. A lifelong battle with alcoholism derailed his personal relationships, leading to a bitter divorce from his first wife and years of estrangement from his only son. Though he remarried, financial instability loomed over his later years, forcing him to take on small voiceover roles just to get by. As he aged, he was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, which, combined with dementia, left him unable to work or even recognize his former co-stars. His health declined rapidly, and by the time he was placed in a care facility, he had faded into near obscurity. He died on August 19, 2016, at the age of 80, from pneumonia. Dick Sargent played Charlie in Family Ties in 1982 at age 52, portraying a kind and steady figure in the series. Best known as the second Aaron in Bewitched, he spent much of his life concealing his sexuality, terrified that Hollywood would blacklist him if his truth was exposed. The pressure to maintain a false image took a heavy toll, leading him to suppress his emotions and suffer in silence. Though he had relationships, he never found lasting love, fearing rejection both personally and professionally. Loneliness and self-doubt followed him throughout his life, and he turned to alcohol as a means of escape. In his later years, he finally came out as gay and became an advocate for LGBTQ+ rights, but by then, his health was failing. Diagnosed with prostate cancer, he fought a long and painful battle, his body weakened by years of emotional and physical strain. He passed away on July 8, 1994, at age 64. Charles Levin played Dr. Crazy Larry Waxman in Family Ties in 1982, starting his role at the age of 33. His character was an eccentric, unpredictable doctor whose bizarre antics provided comedic relief, masking a deeper loneliness. Levin, a gifted character actor, found success in shows like Seinfeld and Alice, yet Hollywood never fully embraced him. Typecast and overlooked, he struggled to maintain steady work, his dreams of stardom slipping away. His personal life was equally tragic. His wife, Catherine, died suddenly in the late 90s, leaving him a single father to their only son, Jesse. Overcome with grief, Levin withdrew from the industry, battling depression and financial ruin. In his later years, loneliness consumed him, and his acting jobs dried up, so did his will to live. On June 28, 2019, at 70, he was found dead at the bottom of a remote ravine, his car stranded on a desolate road. Authorities ruled his death an accident, but those who knew him suspected a deeper despair that had led him to his fate. Rebecca Balding portrayed Karen Banks in Family Ties in 1984, beginning her role at 36. Spirited and full of life, her character radiated enthusiasm, much like Balding herself. She rose to fame in Soap and Charmed, yet despite her talent, she struggled to break out of supporting roles. Her marriage to TV producer James L. Conway provided fleeting stability, but their home remained empty. Their attempts to have children ended in multiple miscarriages, a pain Balding rarely spoke of. Her career dwindled in the 2000s, and by the time she reached her 60s, she was entirely out of the industry. In 2021, she was diagnosed with ovarian cancer, a disease that ravaged her body and left her in excruciating pain. She spent her final months bedridden, a shadow of her former self, her once vibrant personality dulled by suffering. On July 18, 2022, she succumbed to the disease at 73, her name fading from public memory, her legacy reduced to forgotten reruns. James Karen played Philip in Family Ties in 1984, beginning his role at 61. His character exuded charm and sophistication, much like Karen himself, whose velvety voice and polished demeanor made him a favorite in films like Poltergeist and The Return of the Living Dead. Yet, despite a prolific career, true superstardom eluded him. He married actress Alba Francesca, his second wife, but their love was overshadowed by sorrow. They longed for children but remained childless, a pain Karen carried to his final days. The death of his first wife haunted him, leaving a void he never filled. In his twilight years, he battled immense financial strain after a series of bad investments drained his savings. He also suffered from debilitating health issues, gradually losing his ability to walk. Weakened and forgotten by Hollywood, he spent his last years in a small apartment, watching old films of himself, trapped in the past. On October 23, 2018, he passed away at 94 from natural causes. And Haney portrayed Mrs. Matthews in Family Ties in 1983, beginning her role at 49. As a kind, supportive figure, her character radiated warmth, though in real life, she often found herself cast in cold, authoritative roles. A talented actress, she shined in Liar Liar and Mama's Family, but despite her success, she was never a household name. Her marriage to John Haney, a stockbroker, brought little happiness. The union was strained by his infidelities and her relentless work schedule. Their only daughter, Melissa, distanced herself from him, resenting her mother's absence during childhood. Haney's later years were marked by severe health struggles. Unbeknownst to the public, she had been suffering from heart disease for years, growing frail and weak. As her health declined, she became a recluse, ignored by an industry that once adored her. On May 26, 2001, she died alone at 67 from heart failure, her body discovered days later in her Los Angeles home, her phone silent, no visitors in sight. Who is your favorite character in Family Ties? How do you feel knowing that the actors have passed away? Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you don't miss future videos. Thank you so much.